Yay. Okay, seems to be working. Whoop. So I know this is late at night for our European friends. We're just out of bed here in Sydney. So I do actually have one question already in, and it's from Jason, and it was actually on my Strava account. And Jason's asking, he says it's a bit late for Europeans, but he wanted to know about my shoe choice for the last race, which was the Saucony Endorphin Racer 2 rather than Zero or Ultra. Well, Ultra are enormously thick. Even the race shoes are far too thick. Good evening, Mark Cannings in London. And the Saucony Endorphin Racer, that's a 2017 model. It's the only shoe we could find that was flat, thin, flexible, like a minimalist shoe, but also has a bit of a midsole. Running on smooth concrete barefoot is actually fantastic, as is running on grass. It's smooth, especially with speed, but as soon as you put something in between the foot and the ground, then you tend to hit the ground harder. You can't feel what's happening, and you lose a little bit of the rebound. It's much better when you're going faster, but you do lose the feel, and you do hit the ground harder. And most of the minimalist shoes that I've had seem to have a bit too much plastic in the sole, and they're very noisy. Jason mentions the Zero shoes. Zero HFS is a fantastic fit shoe, absolutely brilliant, fits me perfectly. Whereas the Sauconys, I had to take them to a shoemaker. I have some holes cut out the top for my hammer toes, which I have on both feet from wearing ski boots too much years ago, too tight. And they're also too narrow, so I had to stretch them. The Zero HFS is just great, except it's clunky because of the plastic in the sole. And if it had a rubber sole and a bit of a midsole, it would just be the perfect shoe for me. So yeah, it's good to see our friend Mark Cannings here. Mark does a lot, helps us a lot on the Facebook group, looking at answering questions and looking at some of the videos that readers put up. He really knows what he's talking about. He's also coaching in London, and what a fantastic coach he is. I haven't seen him coaching, but I know from his comments how good he is. So do we have any other questions coming in, I wonder? Just looking at Jason's comment again. He also says he wonders why people are so reluctant to ditch the moon shoes despite the sore knees. Well, I think it's all about speed. People are after speed, and I have to say those what I call cheat shoes do actually help you go a lot faster. I've noticed there are a lot of runners around me in races who don't run anywhere near as well as me. They are younger, of course, but they shouldn't be running next to me, some of them. I actually had a test last year. I ran this 10K race, the same as I did yesterday. And somebody younger than me who's never beaten me before was running at a cadence of 220, a typical, very much a walking action, and it beat me by 30 seconds. The following 2 weeks later, we did a cross country race where I was barefoot and he didn't have his super shoes on, and I beat him by a minute. So yeah. On that note, Trixie Bacon, how is the shoe design that you and Heidi are working on going? Well, it's a company in London who already make shoes, but I don't want to say who they are yet. We had a Zoom meeting with the owner. It's a partnership, and this was probably July or August last year. And Heidi and I had some input into the shoes. And our suggestion was a rubber sole, so it's not that plasticky nature, and a bit of a midsole. Obviously, we want it flat, thin, flexible, and with a wide toe box. But we're also saying that there needs to be a little bit of kickback. Those of you who are good runners, if you run on grass barefoot, you'll feel that it's mostly your muscles, tendons, and ligaments, and that are giving you a bit of a rebound off the ground. It's very pleasant and it makes it feel light, the running. You get a little bit of that from the grass as well. It's slightly spongy. And so we think it would be good to recreate the feel of running barefoot on grass in a shoe as much as is possible. Okay, so anyway, we talked about that. The factory model, test model has been made, and we have seen it. Heidi and I should be getting a pair of shoes to test, and Mark as well. Mark Cannings, our admin, we've also arranged for Mark to test the pair as well, and they should be coming or anytime now within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll let you know how it goes. Safety third. Hi Keith. Melanie, the rebound feel, is it mostly in the hips? I was a gymnast, and in a handspring the push went through the shoulder and the hands and the wrist, and the elbows are almost locked out. Yeah, I tend to feel that I don't feel a rebound when I'm running. It's the rebound we're talking about, for those who haven't got the book, is we start off with yes, Trixie, we are going to be pleased with the shoe, I think, and of course we can change it. It can be changed again, because this is still in the development stage, although it's at the end. Okay, the rebound. Yeah, for those of you who are not readers of the book, what we've done to teach people to run efficiently is we've taken the point that the common factor with all runners really want to be finishing their landing as close as possible to being vertically aligned. So if they're leaning back, obviously their feet are in front of them and they're braking when they land, and they tend to crease up and then have to push again to take off again. Now, we're not 100% efficient, so you're not going to be completely vertical, but if you're leaning a long way back when you land, there's a lot of pressure to braking you, and you have to brake, push. So we're trying to make it smooth. The closer you are to being vertically aligned, the more efficient you're going to be. And also in that point, you get a rebound off the ground. Now, we start off our runners stationary and getting used to that rebound. I have to say the rebound is different when you are stationary to when you're moving. When you're moving, the foot touches the ground in front of you, leaves the foot ground behind you. And so the vertical motion is spread over, angles rather than just straight up and down. So the rebound, what I'm saying is you feel the rebound very much when you're stationary, as we do in an exercise. It's a bit artificial, but starting off feeling the rebound puts you in the right position to be running smoothly once you start running. Now, having said that, I feel that when I'm stationary, I feel the real rebound largely through the hamstrings, but it's a bit all over, really. It's the feet, the hamstrings, and the glutes all working together, and the fascia. But when I'm running and racing, all I feel is tired. And if I'm running casually and I really feel feeling good, usually about 4 minute K pace, it suddenly feels really, really smooth. So what I'm saying is, you don't, unless you're stationary or moving very slowly, you don't feel the rebound. It becomes absorbed in the running action, and it just produces a very smooth, classy, efficient, and fast action. I hope that helps, Melanie. So don't go around trying to bounce up and down off the ground deliberately. With our starting off routine, which I think I think I've seen you on the Facebook group. It feels very firm. A whole foot's landing. You're getting a rebound off the ground, and when you gently start moving, you still feel that, and then you just keep feeling that until you don't feel it anymore, and that's because you're running faster and it's become really smooth. It's a difficult thing to explain. I think we've explained it as well as we can in the book, which is extremely precise. Okay, so I haven't had a breakthrough yet. Feel smooth. I've read the book and have started practicing. Excellent. Try to include the game changer drill, because not only does that help you get balanced, Melanie, but it also adds in some fluidity. So in the game changer drill, as you probably know, your feet are high. You're doing butt kicks at quite a rate. So your feet are high. They're moving quickly. And you're actually, when you start off, you're actually tilted forwards, the body tilted forwards. So those are the three things that most people get wrong when they're running badly. They throw their leg forwards. It's low to the ground. It's a low cadence, and they're sitting back when they land. So we're starting you off with those three things in the opposite. So you're tilted forwards, you've got a high butt kicks going on, and they're fast. And then as you start moving, your balance changes. You feel the balance change from the forefoot to the whole foot, and the feet start lowering, and the cadence probably drops a little bit as well. And hopefully you can find that perfect spot where you're getting balanced landings and you're smooth. So continue with what you're doing. The speed, once you get things right, the speed will build up. You can't help it. It's sorry if you don't want to go fast. I'm sorry. You're going to start moving quickly. As we've said in Going for a Run chapter, normally, well, if I'm on a flat field, which I'm not usually, but if I'm on a flat field, I'll start my first K is usually around about 5:20, unless I've had a really hard session the day before, and it'll be a bit slower. But usually, without trying, I'm just bouncing up and down and a little tilt forwards, off I go. Basically, it's all up and down. And then I look at my watch after a first K. It usually beeps after a K, and it's 5:20. And I just keep doing the same thing. I don't try to go faster, just do the same thing. And as the muscles warm up and tendons and ligaments, I obviously get a little higher off the ground and I go a bit faster. And usually on the second K, I'm going about just 4:30s, something like that. And then on the third K, I start to get down to about 4:10s, which is a really comfy pace for me. And then I have to pull myself back a bit if I'm on a long run. Otherwise, I end up going too fast. On that note, on Jason's comment, he said, great great run, nice flying photo. Well, yep, good runners. Who needs carbon? Well, it would help me go faster, but I would hurt myself. So I've got another 2 years in my age group yet. I'm going to get as far as I can with records, and I may just put a pair of the super cheat shoes on for the last race to prove a point. But then again, I might hurt myself. Okay, yes, interestingly, I ran a 10K yesterday, and I ran just under 37 minutes. And last year I was 37:40. Now, interestingly, my heart rate was exactly the same, and my cadence was exactly the same. So I worked out my stride length, and my stride length was 0.45 of a centimeter longer. So I increased my stride length, and I wasn't stretching out or anything like that. So I think all that stride length came from strength and me getting a little higher off the ground. And that relates to what you're saying, Melanie. That's what's going to happen as you get stronger and more precise. You'll get more off the ground, so your stride length will increase. Your stride length obviously coming from your existing speed and your height off the ground. So if you get a little higher off the ground, it's not straight up, it's up and forwards, of course, because you're moving. But so that extends your stride length and makes you go faster. And that's why you don't feel it when you're going faster. It doesn't feel any different. You look at your watch and you think, oh, how did I do that? Yeah. So, and you'll find later on that you're running with other people and they're wanting you to slow down, and you're actually don't realize what you're doing. I did lose track of where I was there. Oh yeah, the stride length from the height. So it's very interesting. I'm actually going to try and do the physics on it later and work out how much higher off the ground I actually got that gave me that 0.45 of a centimeter extra stride length and 45 seconds over the 10K. So yeah, Mark, you might be the engineer type who can back me up on the workings. If you're still awake there in London. That's nice, Melanie. Melanie previously hated running, so thank you for helping us. Yeah, we love what we're doing, Melanie. We just love the successes we get. We know it works. We know it's good theory. We know the physics is good. Yeah, and I try to practice what we preach. So one of the reasons for my racing is really advertising as well, because we'd like to sell as many books as possible and get the word out. Not for financial reasons, although it's a very expensive project, and I don't think we're going to break even for a few years yet. But really, because we enjoy it. It's my life now. I'm basically a professional runner. I'm retired, and okay. Thanks, Mark. I'll send you my workings when I've done them. Do you remember the old S equals UT plus a half AT squared? And yeah, that's about the only physics I can remember, even though my son is actually a physics lecturer, but he doesn't like classical physics, apparently. Okay. Yeah, we love teaching people, Melanie, and I love to make a point. So yeah, I've got a lot more to come yet. I predict I will be running a lot faster next year, and I hope even faster the year after that. And the reason I predict that is because I'm getting stronger just through use. I can't run more than 60K a week at the moment because my poor old muscles just need time to recover. I'm sure it wasn't like that when I was 30. So that's a bit of a restricting factor, and I'm being cautious because I am nearly 68 now. So I don't have any aches or pains, but I don't want to overdo the muscle use. So as soon as I get a bit of muscle, pain from doing a bit of extra on the track, maybe the outside of the calf muscle on the right leg, or something like that, or a little bit of a tight hamstring from a park run a couple of weeks ago. Just ease off a bit, and yeah, so that's preventing me from doing too much training. But what I'm doing is quality. So I think that's the way to go. Quality, not quantity. I refuse to run with poor technique. So that means at the moment my long runs are maximum 15k, usually about 13, something like that. But if I've done a hard session on a Saturday, I'll just be doing 8 or 10. Yeah. So yeah. So our philosophy is technique, 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 and let the rest develop. Okay. So yep. Have we got anything more there? Oliver. Oh, Oliver. Okay. Basically rebooted and started with low mileage and going for the occasional 10k race. Well, oh, definitely not slow running, Mark. I think if you're running slow, you're getting used to running slow. I suppose if you're doing really long slow, if you're an ultra runner or something like that, then yeah, yeah, that's yeah, ultra runners, you need to run slower. Although I've been running with a couple of ultra runners up in Harvey Bay in Queensland. We were up there the other week, and they're running quite quick. I ran 17:49 for the park run, and one was in front of me and one was behind me. Pretty good. Pretty good for ultra runners. I do find that I know some ultra runners I used to run with who were really, really good technique and really quite fast. And after years of ultra running, they really are running badly. It's basically a walking action they have now, and not getting off the ground. But I suppose that's natural if you're going to go a long way. It's probably some of the top ultra runners I've seen do get off the ground and run really well, but the majority really have much of a walking action. Okay, so Oliver, yes, Oliver, probably is too far to start with. You know, I think did you reboot? You say, yeah, you started again. Yeah, well, it is like starting a new sport. If you, unless you've always run with no shoes or minimal shoes all through your life, then you can, you know, probably run a marathon, Haile Gebrselassie style. But I mean, if I were to start a new sport now, I wouldn't have the muscles for it, or tendons or ligaments developed. And so I'm going to have to take it easy and ease into it. Now, you say your calf muscles are still getting sore. That might be due to, you do say you're still lifting your feet a bit. Most people who lift their feet at the back tend to run too much on the forefoot, and that puts a lot of pressure on the calf muscles. So it could be that that's causing the problem. If you're in the Facebook group, do give us a video, do a side view video, and we'll take a look for you. But I think it's a mixture of your muscles getting used to working the way they should, and building up. The calf muscles, yeah. If you wear a shoe with a zero shop shoe with a 13 mil midsole, what's that? That must be ultras. Not that thin, I don't think. I don't know what is. Anyway, yes, you won't feel the calves so much. I find even if I put a pair of Vibrams on, the pressure goes up a little higher up the leg. So the more you put under your foot, it seems to me, the more lateral movement there is, and also I'm trying to work out the physics of it, but I definitely feel that the pressure goes further up the calf muscle. So if you're feeling it in that a little bit tired after a long run, the tendon and whether the Achilles tendon and the calf muscle join, if you're feeling it there, then if you wear shoes, you tend to feel it a little bit higher up. And in fact, yes, after the 10K, I walked down a hill yesterday and I felt it much more in the mid calf than on the lower part of the calf had I run barefoot. So yes, to answer your question, Oliver, without all this rambling, you first of all, getting used to it. The calf muscles do get sore. Wearing a shoe that's thicker will move the pressure further up, but we also need to look and make sure that, because you say you're picking your feet up at the back, you've probably got too much pressure on the forefoot. I hope that helps. We're pretty sure on these things because I had, I think, 2,500, 3,000 clients when I was coaching and teaching what's actually in the book. So we've got a lot of evidence for what we do, and we continue to see the same things happening. So it's very simple, actually. I think we've broken down running into a very simple procedure. And one of the things we've got in the back of the book is for coaches. And one of the things we realized was that, if you can't just lift your feet up at the back. You have to balance that with something in the front. And you can't just throw a leg forward. You have to balance that with the upper body twisting, arms, shoulders, etc. And you can't break. So if you land, even with walking, you see somebody with a heel strike, for instance, and they throw their leg forwards. If you see someone walking towards you and their arms are going across their body, then when you get up to them, you'll see that they have quite a big heel strike. And the other thing is, if you look at them the side, you'll probably see their head going forwards and then back. And it goes forwards as they break with their foot in front of them, and it goes back as they push off. So all these things have to physically balance in all directions, both vertically and from the side and from the front back view. Yep. That's good, Oliver. Yeah. So the best way to learn good technique is barefoot on grass. The next best thing is with a shoe that is giving you no support and just the protection you need. As I said earlier, most minimal shoes, I think, do actually need to be not minimal, but have a little bit between the sole and the foot. Just both to one to protect you, but mostly to give you a little bit of a rebound that you're going to lose because the shoe is getting between the foot and the ground. And the foot is actually very, very pliable. And even if you're running and you start to stand on a stone, you can actually very, very quickly pull some muscles up and pull the foot up or twist or move your foot so that you don't press on it hard. It's quite interesting. Of course, you lose that completely with the shoe. You just which is good in many ways, because if it's rough ground, you can just plow through it. And that's the reason I like to wear shoes on a rough course. I prefer to go barefoot, but if there's too much rough ground, it's going to slow me down. So if I'm after speed, I'll wear something on my feet. Just depends. Horses for courses or shoes for races. Yeah. I'm interesting, Oliver. You talk about zero drop trainers with a 13 millimeter sole. It's a bit bigger than we would like, but 13 millimeters is less than less than I know of. We bought a pair of ultra racing shoes for Heidi's mother because she's got a foot problem that really does actually need some cushioning. She's in her mid-80s, but it was really thick. We thought the racing shoe would be thin, but it was really, really thick. Yeah, just looking back at your question, Oliver, 21K and pure minimal. Well, it is too much for your amateur legs. I think they've got to build up. Even I've taken 2 years rebuilding. I was still been running before that and training, but not training hard. And starting off on my regime 2 years ago and building up. And I was only running 3K at a time then. And I've got another year. I think I've got another 2 years before I reach my next peak. So it takes a long time to build up muscle. But don't forget that your muscles, well, your bones, for instance, you're losing, I don't know what, 7, 8, 9, 10% of the cells every year, but they're regrowing. And they're regrowing in the places they need to grow, which is where the pressure is. So you're not only are your muscles, tendons, and ligaments rebuilding and you're regenerating your body, but also your bones. It's interesting, isn't it? That's why horse riders have bow legs, and people who wear orthotics for a long time tend to get bow legs as well. So what I'm saying there is it takes a long time to become a top runner. You need to enjoy it, keep doing it. Don't do too much. And the main thing is that you can train consistently. But I hope I'm proving that it's not just the speed; it's the longevity. So as you probably know, I think I've said before, when I was 45, I was asked in Launceston in Devon in the UK, I was asked if I wanted a pensioners discount because it was Pensioners Tuesday. And I was 45 and I was hobbling around because I had runner's knee, both knees. And I was trying to run through it. And nowadays, absolutely no problems at all. So just from changing technique and getting rid of the chunky shoes, which of course change your technique. Thank you, Bill. Yep, we love what we're doing. Although I just sent Heidi off to work to earn some real money, which is good. Oliver, it's what it's called. Merrill Bear Access. Oh, okay. Yeah, I must look at that, Oliver. Thanks. I do have some Merrill's Faber gloves. They are great on the hills and pretty good on the grass, and they're really nice fit. They're just got that chunky, that plasticky sole, which really annoys me. In fact, my guys running next to me saying, "What's that noise?" Yeah. Yes, Oliver. Yep. Just work on the technique and let everything else. Oh, here we are. Mark Canning's new body every 7 years. Yep. Thanks, Mark. Is that for younger folk like you or for me? Yeah. Thanks very much, Oliver. Yeah, and all the team. We're so grateful to the people who help us out on our Facebook forum. Mark, your answers are always spot on. Sometimes the post comes up late at night here in Australia, and I wake up in the morning and Mark said everything I would have said. Great. I feel obliged to add something, but really not necessary. All of us, hopefully. Yeah. Okay. Rebuild. Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know whether you noticed, but a lot of the runners who run really well and been running for many years, if you watch them from the front and on a running track, you'll notice that both feet land on the line or very close to it. And I think that's part of it, Mark. I think that's the body shape changing, becoming more efficient. So the foot is landing very much right under the hips. So the feet aren't landing hip width apart each foot is, the leg is bending slightly and landing underneath the center of gravity as you look from side to side. So if you look from the front or the back, the foot is landing very much under the middle of the hips, and so does the other one. Yeah, it's not something you should try to do, but it is something that seems to happen. My feet land with about that much overlap, about a couple of centimeters or an inch and a bit if you're in the UK or US. Yeah, so interesting things. Heidi and I have learned a tremendous amount since the first edition of the book, mostly from people on the Facebook group, because we wrote something which we thought was fairly precise in the first edition, and somebody read it and did something different. So we then looked at that and questioned what we'd written and amended from there. And then we did the same for the second edition and even more for the third edition. So the book's been through effectively through all the editors we've had, and thousands of editors on the Facebook group. All right. So I wonder if all you folk in the UK and are getting a bit tired. What is it, Mark? There, it must be 11:30 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. I'm not sure. 9, 7. Okay, can't work it out. Yeah. Okay. So I just wonder. Any more questions? Oh, Germany. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. 11:30 p.m. in Germany. So that'll be 10:30 p.m. in the UK. Yeah. Kind of half an hour earlier today. It's very difficult trying to find a good time that suited everybody. 7 a.m. here was about the earliest I could really do it. Because I wanted to go for a Sunday in Europe and America, and Monday mornings Heidi has an early start at the clinic, and so about 7 is the earliest I can do, because I'm a very good husband and I cook her breakfast before I send her off. Okay. No problem, Oliver. I know Pragnesh and some others in India were looking at the previous one. I don't think they're here. It's about 3 a.m. there, far too early. Maybe at some point, maybe when I'm on holiday somewhere where Heidi doesn't have to get up early, if I can be somewhere quiet, I'll maybe try and do one that's better timed for our friends in India and Malaysia. We've got quite a few people, readers in India and South Africa, although South Africa I think is on much the same time zone as Europe. Yeah, so I think I've covered as much as I can in this time zone choice. I could probably, earlier would be better for the UK. So most of our readers are in the UK and the US. About 55% to 45% if you're looking at the US and the UK. So that's a great effort from the UK, considering the population's quarter of the US. So we're hoping once the Spanish edition is done that the US market will like it. So I think there are more Spanish speakers in America than there are in Spain. It's just a matter of whether they run or not. So as far as the books goes, that's it. The French edition was first because we promised it to some people on the Facebook group. Started off with a bit of bang. It's not selling very well at the moment. So we might need to boost that up if we can. And the Spanish one, well, that's we think that'll be pretty good too. And then that's the end of it as far as they're concerned. Books are concerned. We think we've done our dash on that. It's although we're not translating ourselves, there's a lot of work involved in getting it together. But we do have a good team, and yeah, it's pretty expensive, about $20,000 to $25,000 to do an edition. With the if you're employing really good editors and translators, but we're happy to do that, and that's our life's work, and we enjoy what we do, so that's good. And probably in 5 years or so, we'll start making some money and be able to go and travel a bit more and see some of you great folk out there. Okay, I'll hang on a couple more minutes. Still got a few people watching, but if anybody's got any questions, then put them up now. If not, I'll go for coffee and breakfast. Okay. All right. Well, I'll say thank you to everyone, and I hope I'll see some of you at some point. And if any of you are coming to Australia, do come to Sydney and come and see us. We'll go and run together. Thanks, Trixie. Yeah, we love you guys, and we really enjoy helping out and getting your feedback. Okay, guys, really good to get this one actually working. The last one went wrong. So I think that's probably enough for the moment. I'll try and fix up another one at some point. Probably August, maybe, something like that. But we'll let everybody know. Okay, everybody, sleep well, everyone. Have a good evening, you guys in America. And I'm not sure if anyone from Iceland is watching, but it's going to be pretty dark up there by now. Yeah, we've got quite a few Icelandic people, we believe, in the group now. So the Nordic contingent is growing. Okay, everyone, that's it. Enough waffle from me. Enjoy the rest of the evening if you have an evening left, and sleep well. And thanks again to everybody, and thank you, Mark, for staying up and chipping in. Okay, bye everybody. Thanks. Bye, Oliver.